Hello friends, myself Dr. Pushpa Kumari, Assistant Professor, Department of Education, SPM College for Women, University of Delhi. Today I am going to discuss about the Education Commission 1964 to 66, which is also known as the Kothari Commission. This topic is under BES 122 Contemporary India and Education course of IGNOU B.Ed program. This is unit 7 of this course, in which we are going to discuss about development of school education from 1964 to 1985. In this, I am going to discuss about firstly the Education Commission 1964 to 66, which is also known as the Kothari Commission. The learning outcomes of this unit is to understand the developments of school education from 1964 to 1985, to discuss and analyze the recommendations of Kothari Commission, that is the Education Commission 1964 to 66, to examine educational problems in their social and economic context. The flow of the content will be first a general introduction about the Kothari Commission would be given, then the important objectives of this commission would be discussed, the reforms needed in education would be discussed, the structure of education as proposed by the Kothari Commission would be given, then some of the few important recommendations on school education would be discussed, and then the merits and the limitations or the demerits of Kothari Commission. Now, about the Education Commission 1964-66, as I have already told you, it is popularly known as Kothari Commission. It was appointed by the Government of India on 14th July 1964 with the aim to advise the government on the national pattern of education and on the general principles and policies for the development of education at all stages and in all aspects. At all stages, by all stages we mean the pre-primary education stage, the primary, the secondary, the higher secondary stage, all the stages. There were 17 members in the commission, in which there were 5 experts from other countries like USA, UK, USSR, France and Japan. The chairman of the commission was Professor D.S. Kothari. He was then the chairman, University Grants Commission. He was chairman of UGC, Professor Dr. D.S. Kothari. That is why this commission is named after him, Kothari Commission. The title of the report was Education and National Development. And there are 2 unique features of this report. First is, report is very comprehensive. It's comprehensive approach to educational reconstruction. Like, they emphasized that the education should be reconstructed. There is need of reconstruction in education in India, and its attempt to project a blueprint of a national system of education for India, and it laid the path for the National Policy on Education 1968, which we will be discussing in the next lecture. The opening sentence of the commission is very important. It says that the destiny of India is being shaped in her classrooms, denotes the value of education that determine the level of prosperity, welfare and future of the country. You can see the destiny of India is being shaped in her classrooms. The commission set up 12 task forces that were school education, higher education, about technical education, agricultural education, adult education, science education and research, teacher training and teacher status, student welfare, new techniques and methods, manpower, educational administration and educational finance. So these were 12 task forces which were set up by the commission. In addition to that, it set up 7 working groups on women education, education of backward classes, school buildings, that is infrastructure, school community relations, statistic, pre-primary education and school curriculum. So 7 working groups on these were constituted. Now, talking about the report is divided into 3 parts. The first part it deals with general aspects of educational reconstruction, common to all stages and sectors of education. These include reorientation of the educational system to national objectives, structural reorganization and improvement of teachers, enrollment policies and equalization of educational opportunities. So we can see that the first part, it deals with general education, which is common to all the stages, the primary, upper primary, secondary and higher secondary stages of education. The second part, it deals with the aspects of school education such as problems of its expansion, curriculum, the teaching methods, the textbook, the guidance, the evaluation, administration and supervision. And it also discusses problems of higher education, which includes the establishment of major universities, programs of qualitative improvement, enrollment and university governance. Apart from these, it also recommended agriculture, technical and vocational education, science education and research and problems of adult education. So in the second part we can see that the emphasis was on expansion of school education, the teaching methods, the curriculum, the textbooks and also on the higher education. The focus was also on higher education and including subjects like agriculture, technical and vocational education in higher education, and special emphasis was given on science education and research and problems of adult education, so that everyone should be literate. The third part deals with educational planning, administration and finance. So we saw that all the three parts, it deals with different aspects of school education and to reorganize and replan the school education. The Commission identified the three important facets that would bring about the desired educational resolution, and that are internal transformation, qualitative improvement and expansion of educational facilities. In internal transformation, it was seen that the education should relate to the life needs and aspirations of the nation. Qualitative improvement, so that the standards achieved are adequate and become internationally comparable. And expansion of educational facilities should be done broadly on the basis of manpower needs, with emphasis on equalization of educational opportunities. Means the educational facilities should expand and give equal opportunities to all people, to all sections of society. The essence of the Commission's report, as stated in its foreword, is Indian education needs a drastic reconstruction. We are talking about this from the very beginning, that Indian education at all levels need a drastic reconstruction, almost a revolution. And the major reconstruction needed was improvement in the effectiveness of primary education, means the primary education needs the improvement, introduction of work experience as an integral element of general education, means a new subject, work experience, should be included in the general curriculum. Vocationalization of secondary education. At secondary education, we need to provide different vocational subjects. Improvement of the quality of teachers. You know that the main element in school education is teachers. So the quality of teachers need to be improved at all levels, and to provide teachers in sufficient strength, since we always run out of teachers. Liquidation of illiteracy, strengthening of centers of advanced study, strive to attain in some of our universities at least higher international standards, laying special emphasis on the combination of teaching and research. It means that important focus should not only be on teaching but also on research. Both should be emphasized. Paying particular attention to education and research in agriculture and allied sciences. Means we see that the focus should be also on agriculture and allied sciences. Now, the important objectives of this commission, the Education Commission, the Kothari Commission, it was to study the existing Indian education system and suggest reforms and changes, to advise the government on the national pattern of education, to propose on the general policies for the development of education at all stages, ranging from primary to postgraduate stage and in all its aspects, to examine a host of educational problems in their social and economic contexts. Now, according to the commission report, they suggested various reforms that were needed in education. The most important and urgent reform needed in education is to transform it, endeavor to relate it to the life, needs and aspirations of the people, and thereby make it the powerful instrument of social, economic and cultural transformation necessary for the realization of the national goals. For this purpose, the commission suggested 4 objectives. Like, we know that education is so important that it can bring out a change in social, economic and cultural transformation, and it can strengthen our society and in turn our nation. So for this, the Kothari Commission suggested 4 objectives, and out of this, the first objective was to increase the productivity. For increasing productivity, they emphasized on making science education an integral part of school curriculum, introduction of work experience as a subject, vocational education to meet the needs of industry, commerce, agricultural, etc., improvement of scientific and technical education and research at the university stage. The second objective was to achieve social and national integration. For this, they emphasized on common school systems where all can come and learn. Start some social service programs for all, teaching of languages, literature, philosophy and history of India, since we want to achieve social and national integration. The third objective was to accelerate the process of modernization, adapting new methods of teaching. See, for accelerating the process of modernization, they emphasize that new methods of teaching should be adopted. We should move on from traditional method of teaching that was based on rote memorization to new methods of teaching, that is child-centered method of teaching. Teaching based on activity-based learning, teaching that relates to the real life experiences of children, proper development of intrinsic attitudes and values, and building up of essential skills as independent study and the capacity to think and judge for oneself. Now we want to make our learners critical and independent thinkers, creative thinkers. The fourth important objective was to cultivate social, moral and spiritual values. For this, the commission emphasized that the education system should emphasize the development of fundamental social, moral and spiritual values. A syllabus giving well chosen information about each of the major religions should be included as a part of the course in citizenship to cultivate the values of social, moral and spiritual. Now, according to the commission, they recommended a new structure of education. So what the commission said is 1 to 3 years of preschool education should be there, a 10-year period of general education in which it may be divided into primary stage and secondary stage, and primary stage should be of 7 to 8 years, lower secondary stage of 2 to 3 years and general education or 1 or 3 years of vocational education, and a higher secondary stage of 2 years of general education or 1 to 3 years of vocational education. The age of admission to class 1 should be not less than 6+ years. The first public external examination should come at the end of the first 10 years of schooling. So these were the recommendations for restructuring the education. The pre-university course should be transferred from the universities and affiliated colleges to secondary schools. Next is the uniform system of nomenclature for the different stages and sub-stages of education should be evolved by the Government of India in consultation with state governments. Part-time education should be developed on a large scale at every stage and in every sector of education, and should be given the same status as full-time education. So here we can see that the emphasis was also on part-time education for those people who could not enroll themselves for a regular education, and it was said that it should be given the same status as full-time education. Now, some more recommendations on school education. For the quality of education, the Commission recommended dynamic and evolving standards as well as optimum utilization of facilities in order to enhance quality in education. Now, not just quantity was focused, we should bring students or bring up the enrollment, the data of enrollment, but also the quality of education should increase. Dynamic and evolving standards. An intensive effort should be made to raise standards continually for all stages of education. The first 10 years of school education should be quantitatively improved so that the wastage at this stage should be reduced to the minimum. Universities and colleges should assist secondary schools in improving their efficiency through a variety of measures. Now, on utilization of facilities, the Commission recommended that emphasis should be laid in plans of educational reconstruction on programs of intensive utilization of existing facilities. The number of instructional days in the year should be increased, means the working days should be increased to about 39 weeks for school and 36 weeks for colleges and pre-primary schools. Vacations should be utilized fully through participation in studies, social service camps, production experience, literacy drives, etc. So, for utilization of facilities, it was emphasized that the existing facilities should, the use of existing facilities should increase. The instructional days should be increased in schools and colleges, the working days should be increased, and also the vacation should be utilized for participation in studies and social camps and literacy works. The Commission also recommended that the duration of working day should be increased. The steps should be taken to ensure full utilization of institutional facilities such as libraries, laboratories, workshops, craft, etc. all round the year. Provision of free and compulsory education. This was a very important recommendation on school education by the Kothari Commission. It recommended that free and compulsory education for children aged 6 to 14 years should be provided. About the languages, the Commission recommended adopting a 3-language formula at state levels. It intended to promote a language of the southern states in Hindi speaking states. It intended to promote Hindi, English and a regional language in non-Hindi speaking states. So, we see that great emphasis was given on languages. Apart from Hindi and English, a regional language, the emphasis on regional language was also given. The Kothari Commission recommended promoting regional language, Sanskrit as well as international languages, preferably English. So we can see that a majority of emphasis was given on languages also. The Kothari Commission recommended provided favorable and adequate service conditions for teachers. Here the Commission focused on improving the service conditions for teachers. So it recommended providing favorable and adequate service conditions for teachers and providing them with necessary freedom to conduct and publish those findings. It emphasized on improving economic, social and professional status of the teachers. To promote social justice, the Kothari Commission focused on girls' education, education of backward classes and education of tribal people, physically and mentally handicapped children. So here at this point we can see that it talked of including all children, whether they belong to backward classes, educationally backward, socially backward, or economically backward, or tribal people, or children with disability. As science and maths are an integral part of the growth of any nation, the Kothari Commission recommended making maths and science an integral part of education. So special emphasis was also given on subjects like maths and science because they are important for the growth of nation. Next, the Commission recommended reforms to improve education at university level, at higher level, by paying special attention to postgraduate level research, training, providing adequate libraries, laboratories and funds. Wastage and stagnation should be reduced by providing various forms of part-time education, by implementing a nationwide program of school improvement and by an intensive program of parental education. Next, vocationalization of secondary education should be done on a large scale. See, a special focus and attention for vocationalization of secondary education was given by this commission. A variety of part-time and full-time facilities in vocational education should be made available to meet the needs of boys and girls in urban and rural areas. Efforts should be made to accelerate the expansion of girls' education. See, we can see that they emphasized on expansions of girls' education so that the proportion of girls to boys reaches 1:2 at the lower secondary stage and 1:3 at the higher secondary stage in 20 years. Emphasis should be placed on establishing separate schools for girls, provision of hostels and scholarships, and part-time and vocational courses. So this was about the girls' education, that they should be provided separate schools and there should be facilities and provisions for hostels, special scholarships should be given, part-time education should be introduced, courses and vocational courses should be introduced, especially for the girls. Now, we come to the merits of Kothari Commission after discussing about the reforms needed as given by Kothari Commission and special recommendations on school education. Now we come to discussing about the merits of Kothari Commission. There were several merits of Kothari Commission. First is the education system at the national level. It was aligned in a uniform pattern as 10+2+3 pattern as recommended. Free and compulsory education. The Kothari Commission put forward the need for free and compulsory education for all children up to the age of 14 years. It emphasized the need for education up to a certain age, that was 6 to 14 years. It redefined education by restating its objective and focusing on how education can influence and positively impact social and national issues and aspects. Career-based approach. The Kothari Commission focused on the need for education that makes individuals ready for the work front so that they can have a secure career. For this, they emphasized on introducing various vocational subjects at school level. Examined educational problems. The Commission examined and evaluated the educational problems existing in the Indian education system and strived to fix the issues like the problems of assessment, examination, problem of teacher education, the problem of curriculum, the problem of textbook, reasonable pay for teachers. The Commission put forward the need to offer reasonable and respectable pay for all the teachers belonging to all categories and subjects. But there were few demerits or limitations of Kothari Commission. Like the first was lack of explanation. See, while the Commission puts forward the educational goals and problems being faced by the Indian education system, it offers a lack of solutions and explanations on how to achieve the goals. Also, some of the recommendations were very conflicting. Many believed that the recommendations pointed out by the Commission on the medium of language, the three language, are conflicting and controversial. Inadequate guidance. The Commission failed to provide adequate guidance and suggestions on the steps and tips that can transform the education system in India as envisioned by the Commission. Like, it gave many important and useful recommendations to improve education, but it failed to provide the guidance, proper guidance towards this. Huge financial investment. The Commission's recommendations to transform the Indian education system required heavy financial investment, which was not economically or socially feasible, especially when the majority of the citizens of country were below the poverty level. Position of heads. The Commission also did not touch upon the subject of the head of schools and left it undecided. This lack of emphasis and attention towards this domain is regarded as ignorant. So these were the demerits of Kothari commissions. Now here are some questions for practice which you all should attempt, and thank you